Hello, and this is the video for beginning web design for Tuesday, September 22nd. Hello,
Hello.
how are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Good,
How about you?
good. Anything new and exciting?
Um, I worked on some more stuff for my website and I feel pretty okay with it.
Wow, that is good. That's cool. Well, I can't wait to see it. How about you, Steph? Anything interesting happening?
Yeah, well, I left Tucson for the first time since January, I think, to go camping from Friday to Sunday, which
Oh
was,
my God,
yeah,
how was that?
was nice. Yeah.
And where did you go?
New Mexico.
New Mexico?
Yeah, like White Sands.
Oh, White Sands, huh? Wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah, the campsites were still closed, but we were able to camp outside.
Oh, wow, that's so nice. And what's the terrain like? I mean, are there pine trees or is it all just desert or
Well, White Sands is just sand dunes.
oh, just sand dunes? Oh, okay. So is there some kind of recreation you do out there or is it just a cool looking place?
It's a cool looking place. I mean, you can hike there, but it's not your typical hike. So it's just dune up, dune down, but they're pretty long hikes, but they're super hot because there's no shade altogether. And then we spent one day like where there are pine trees. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
But
Yeah.
I like that barren desert environment.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. I uh I just went up to Flagstaff a couple weeks ago and that was nice. Went to Sedona and Oak Creek Canyon.
Yeah.
And the White Mountains are nice. I think they're out. I think they're east of Tucson. Over
I
over.
think yeah, they're northeast. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are nice as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that sounds like fun. How about you, Alex? How was your weekend?
Pretty chill.
Did you do anything?
Not really.
Mr. Chill. Okay. Well, chilling can be good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to chill. How's your website coming along? Have you done some work on it or?
I was actually working on it on Shopify. That way I could like kind of get an idea of what I want to do on WordPress.
Oh, I see. So you're making like a Shopify version and then you're going to do that on WordPress.
hmm
Okay, cool. So I don't know a lot about Shopify. I haven't used it. Is Shopify basically like WordPress with e-commerce built in kind of thing?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, cool. And you're a big fan of it?
Yeah, I think it's like one of the best e-commerce options because you can install apps on it as well, but it's just very I don't know, like it just works.
So do you think, I mean, based on what you've seen so far, you think it's easier than WordPress or?
For e-commerce stuff, yeah, I would say it's easier than WordPress.
Okay, because they made it just to be a no-brainer e-commerce experience, right?
Exactly.
Now, how do you get into Shopify? Is there like a website you have to go to or do you install it on your server?
No, it's a website and you just log into the same kind of admin panel and you can do like customized template, you can add your payment info, you could look at themes, like there's paid themes and free themes. Um, so yeah.
Okay. So it's like a similar marketplace to the WordPress one, but you like the interface over there.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'll have to check it out. I'm pretty deep into WordPress because I've done it for so many years, and it'd be hard to get me off of it. But I did a bunch of different e-commerce platforms when I was doing web design all day and all night. And I think WooCommerce is one of my favorites. Um, okay, cool. Well, let's take a look. Bernadette, you said you add some new work on your site, so maybe we can check that out. Let me see if I can get to your site real quick. I just have to kind of remember where the hell it is. Is it pmaccweb.com
Um,
forward
do you
slash?
want me to send you the link on the chat?
Yeah, sure. Put it in the chat. That's even better. Uh, Better than me flopping around trying to find it. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Oh, actually, while you're doing that, let me go ahead and do the attendance, so I get you guys credit for this class. Okay, teach, attendance tracking, web design. Okay, got that taken care of. And so there's the link.
Do you
Oh,
need password?
let me share my screen. What did you say, Burnett?
Did you need the password or do you already remember that? Oh,
I don't know. It looks like I'm already logged in.
oh, okay.
So so here we are, looking at the website, and let's see if I can move this so I can scroll down a little bit. Okay. So we've got your Valley Christian Church logo up here in the top left corner. We've got a nice picture of cactus and a big welcome. Seek, love, share. And then we have our Greek text, which of course every church must have Greek text on their website. Wear a mask because we care, and then the footer.
Yeah,
Okay,
I still need to add a lot more stuff. I'll probably be asking you a lot more questions throughout the class about it.
okay. And then get to know us page, and then missions. Okay. Well, what do you guys, Alex and Steph, what do you guys think of what we see so far?
Really like
Oh,
the pictures that she chose because they're all plants and kind of similar color tones, but yet different.
Yeah, she's always had a good eye for color.
Mhm.
Um, Now I just changed my view of this to actual size, and unless I'm wrong, this is this picture ginormous?
Yeah, um, I was trying to figure out how to change the picture because I changed my theme because it was having a weird filmy background or yeah, it was weird to put pictures in there.
Uh,
Um, so I figured out the size of one of my other pictures that fit really well, but now I'm seeing that it's too big, so I'll just go in and shrink it down a bit.
Shrink it down. Yeah, I think that the pictures and the text on top of them are really impactful. I think they're really beautiful. But yeah, I think at this point it's like the picture that ate New York City. You know what I mean? It's like ah.
mm,
It's like one little strip at the top and then a giant, map.
Yeah,
Um, so, maybe if it were you know, like this kind of size, it would be a little better.
because oh, sorry if you're gonna continue.
No, please.
I like the main pictures to be like through like the same width as the actual website, like your PC or whatever, but like kind of maybe smaller because this one's kind of longer, so probably shrink it down that way.
Yeah, exactly,
The height.
exactly what I was thinking. Just get rid of the height, basically.
Mhm.
You do want it to go all the way across because that looks really good. But yeah, you know that have you heard me talking about that above the fold concept? Okay. So, there's such a thing as newspapers. I know you've probably never seen one. But anyway, you know how newspapers are like folded in half and you buy them that way, So if you look down on a newspaper sitting on a stand, all you see is what's above the fold, correct? You only see the top half of the page. And So that concept carries over into web design, and they talk about above the fold and below the fold, right? So when somebody sees your website, the above the fold part is just going to be what they see in their first screen. And right now, that's not even the full picture.
Okay.
So if you want somebody to get more value out of your site, if this picture, only went down to like about the bottom of this heart or something like that, then you could have some actual content under that that people could see and read and interact with, right? Links and stuff. So I think as good as this looks big, I think it's going to get much, much smaller.
Okay.
Let me see if uh, I think I might have an example for you. This one might be kind of big too. Let's see. Oh yeah, this one's pretty big. Maybe this is a bad example. Yeah, it's a pretty bad example. Actually, why does my this still looks too big? Oh, there it is. Oh, actually, it's a good example. Sorry. Um, yeah, so see how this picture truncates at a certain point, we can still see something underneath it. Yeah,
So
and of course you have your white bar up at the top that has stuff. So, that might be an example.
what size is that picture by chance? Because I just kind of modeled the size from another picture I had, and so that's probably why it's too big.
I will tell you what size this picture is, but part of it has to do with oh, this is wrong. Oh, my computer's telling me my scratch disks are full and it can't do anything for me. Um, Part of it has to do with the code itself, like how much it's supposed to show. Uh, let's see, it's not going to let me copy the image. It probably won't let me save it. View image info. There we go. Oh, that's extremely not helpful. Oh, there it is. It's 2,200 pixels wide by 1,088 pixels tall.
Okay.
Okay. All right, but let's go back here. So, actual size. Okay. Um, you know, I'm gonna zoom in on this just so we can see the pictures a little better. But uh, one thing that I noticed is your logo here looks a tad bit blurry.
Yeah, I don't know why, because I exported it as a ping file and it's giving me a weird like blur.
Well, of course, the web things are blurrier on the web than they are in print. But did you export it at the exact size that you used it at,
Um,
or was it possibly smaller?
well, like I shrunk it down, like you know how you made the artboard smaller,
Yeah.
an example, and then I shrunk it down to fit the artboard. Was I supposed to do that?
But that was all in what? In Photoshop or Illustrator?
Illustrator.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you did everything right, but I mean, when you imported it into the software, the WordPress software, did the size of it change at that point at all, or did it stay the same size?
Um, no, I had to kind of crop it a bit, like so it could show the full image,
Okay.
but I don't think that would be an issue.
Um, well, of course, my computer's giving me a hard time now. Let me close down some software and see if it'll play nice. Okay. Photoshop. Okay, cannot import the clipboard. Okay, that's fine. Um, Maybe I can just save it on my desktop. Okay, cropped valley, and then maybe Photoshop will be nice enough to let me open it. Uh, Cropped valley. Do you have the Illustrator file?
Uh, do you want the ping? Oh no, not the ping you said. Let me see. You know what? I kind of have everything all in one, um, like one Illustrator
Document?
document. So let me see. Hmm,
I wanted to see the original and see if I could export it and get it to look any better. Um,
let me find it. Do you want me to send it to you or?
yeah, or upload it in the chat or whatever. Is it a huge file?
Um, kind of, because I have a lot of things in there.
Okay, well maybe not now because my computer's being kind of a pain in the butt. But yeah. So anyway, what I would recommend is well, it looks too small and too blurry. So maybe try exporting it a little larger and see if you get a little better success with that. Um, now, what other what questions did you have, or do you have any questions right now, or are you just
Yeah, I have some. So if you go on the home page, so I tried editing with Elementor with this one,
uh-huh.
but for some reason, when I try to like put type in, like it'll make it like a weird column thing, like going like this, and the words would be all like, if that makes sense, it's kind of hard to explain. So I just edited it with WordPress.
Okay, so uh well, your homepage wasn't made with Elementor, so it won't let you edit it with Elementor.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah,
But okay.
see, let me make sure Elementor is running here. I assume it is. Yeah. Okay, so if you have a page here and it was made with Elementor, it normally says like let's see, let's go to this home page. Oh, it does say edit with Elementor in here. Okay. Let's look let's see what happens. Um, okay, so where, for example, did you want to make a change?
Like say I wanted to put like some text or whatever.
Where?
Um, maybe below the picture.
Okay, so if you roll over this Elementor element, if you hit the plus symbol, it's going to add a new section above this. So we hit the plus symbol and it adds a new section. Ah, I see what you mean. It made it like a weird tiny column here, right?
Is it because this theme is more like a blog, so it'll have like pictures on like little thumbnails, like from this side to that side, or little widgets on the sides? Is
Uh,
that what it is, or?
it, I'm not sure. There's a little X here, and I'm not sure what's going to happen when I close it. Let's see, X, and that pops back up. Let me try something else. It could just be that when you add it up here, it's problematic. Oh, I see what the problem is. There's a little column to the right of this where you can put content in, and it's kind of trying to throw things over there. Is it okay if I delete this?
Oh, so all you have to do is delete it? Or
I,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I'm deleting it. Well, I tried to delete it, and it laughed at me. It's twice now that it's laughed at me. I don't know what that freaking. It looks like there's wow, it keeps putting little plus symbols in here every time I delete it. So that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Uh, yeah, I think I mean, that's probably the way the page was set up for the blog. But let me try one more thing. Okay. All right. So now I got a real one. And so if I drag in an image or something, yeah. Okay. let's get rid of this. The X will get rid of that. This is the new text that I just added, and then I have no idea. Column width. I'm trying to see if there's any way to get rid of that. Yeah. It's got these weird little extra sections over here that I can't get rid of, but they don't seem to be a problem right now. Um, yeah, you know what it is? It's only when you try to add something above the word the home section that you get that problem.
Okay.
If you add anything below that, then you're okay. Um, oh, look at this. Yeah, see, that's what happened, that weird thing over there.
Because
Uh,
I had to do it in the regular editing area.
well, actually, I wonder if we could just abandon this page and rebuild it as a different page because it's pretty jacked up. Um, let me see what happens if I add a new page, and I'll call this sample, and let's hit edit with Elementor and let's see what the template is looking like. Okay, so here's the page, and clearly this is not jacked up, right?
Okay.
Now, how did you now you just somehow you just added your picture in there at the top, right? Did you
I was really struggling with that. That's why I just kind of came up with a random size to try to fit everything in.
uh
So, um, for some reason, I couldn't change the background by just, change background. I had to go into the actual pages, and there was a set image for each page, like, if that makes sense. So I had to like set it. So there's no way I could do like a carousel or like add any other little things to it.
so was it in this interface that you could find an image for the background, or was it?
So so if you go down to featured page or featured image on the that one, like you would have to set the image there.
Okay, and so I'm going to pick this one. Okay, so now I'm going to hit edit with Elementor. So how come the picture isn't showing up?
I think you
Is that
have
all you did?
I think I had to publish it.
Oh, okay, got it. I was wondering if that was going to screw us, and it looks like it did. Okay, so what I'm thinking is if you just make a brand new home page, you should be okay. Like, see how this one doesn't have the weirdo other columns? You could just, oh, there it is. Look, as soon as I put something in here, the weirdo extra column showed up. Let me see. If I grab an image and drag it in here, you see that weird column there?
Yeah.
Uh, so where is it? It's showing up in this weird extra column. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's jacked up. I don't know what these people did with their template, but that is a seriously jacked up issue there.
How would I put a picture like to the side? Like if like say my pastor wants to put sermons up or whatever, can I do it like uh three pictures but like side by side? Like I don't know how that would work because it looks like so far they're just going down vertically, not horizontally.
Well, you can. Okay, so let's go to widgets and let's go. There's this thing called intersection right here, and if you drag that down, see the problem that I'm having is every time I try to add something here, it adds it into these mini jacked up sections here, and you can't work with that. That's just completely dysfunctional. Um, so I think, what's the name of this theme?
It's called Writer's Blogly.
Writers bloggily. Okay. Um, so what I'm doing is I'm looking for support for this theme. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because if you've experienced this issue, it's likely other people have too. Yeah, I don't see that comment or that issue mentioned in the post here. Um, hmm.
I think, oh,
Go ahead.
I think there was one where it says horizontal widgets. I don't know if what I'm asking for would be considered a widget.
Well, let's see. No, I think that's something else.
Okay.
Um, well, the only thing I can say, and I know this will be a hateful thing to say, is the easiest way to fix this problem is to change your theme.
Okay.
I know, but and here's a theme that you could use. So you remember that site that I just showed you, this one here? Uh,
Um,
so you could use this theme, and this is the first theme in that list of themes from Astra. Now you have Astra on your site here?
um, I don't know.
Okay, no, you don't have Astra. So let me see if I can install Astra, if it's even out there right now. We never know. Is it okay if I install this?
Yeah, go ahead. It's probably way better than the one I have.
Well, it's not your fault. You know, you got something kind of wonky. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to install the importer plugin. We're going to use Elementor as the page builder. Now, the one I'm using is this one right here, Outdoor Adventure. And the only problem is the picture goes all the way to the top. It doesn't have a little break at the top like yours, but this one does.
I kind of like the full picture.
You like the full picture? Okay.
Yeah, that one
So,
works.
so if I import this, um, what it's going to do, it's going to overwrite your existing theme. Uh, Now, I could import just the home page or the home template. Uh, you want me to try doing that?
So, I think it's okay to just do the whole thing.
Okay, last time we did that, it kind of jacked up. Let's see, I was in my advanced class, we were using Astra, and last time well, okay, if I import the whole thing, it's going to overwrite your existing stuff. Is that okay?
Maybe just do the home page then,
Okay, then
because
let's try the home page. About to import the template to complete, please clear the following conditions. Update plugin. Update, okay. Okay, we're going to update Elementor. Okay, so now we're going to go back and try again. Um, okay, so we're going to click on this one. We're going to try import home template. Okay, it's importing it. Hooray, the template has been successfully imported. View template. Okay, so there it is. Let me see if this is your actual homepage or not. Um, so home front page Elementor. Let's take a look at this. No, that's your existing page. See, it looks different in this template. And then it's probably the draft homepage. Let's see, pages, uh, all pages. Let's look at the draft one, home draft Elementor. Let's view this one. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I could make this the new home page. You would go down to appearance. I'm sorry, settings. Where's settings? Settings, reading. And we would say we want this to be, oh, what's it called? Oh, it's a draft. It's in draft mode. I got to take it out of draft mode. So let me put this one in draft mode. Your current home page. I'm going to click the published link and put it in a draft mode and update it. And then your home draft, I'm going to publish that. Okay, so now when we go to your website, oh, come on, stupid thing. Oh, I still have to tell them in settings, reading, which page I want it to start with. And I want to say, hopefully it's this home page. We'll get there eventually. There it is. Okay, so this is your new home page, right? Now, if you click Edit with Elementor, it's going to give you all the little buttons to change things. But this one actually works because I've used it, right? So, like for example, if you don't want this Adam Sandler quote, you just go ahead and click that little X and it deletes that. Down here is, a couple of columns of information. There's a picture back there. There's 3 columns of information and so on and so forth, right? Now, getting back, so this, I think this template will work a lot better for you. Now, if you wanted to put in a section that had multiple columns in it, you could click on this inner section and drag it down here. And do you see what it did? Do you see how it made a thing with 2 columns?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, let's see. If you right click in here and you go, if you right click in here and you go add new column, now there's 3. You see that?
Yeah.
So this is how you can kind of easily make multi-column layout in this program. Okay, and then if you don't like this, you just click the X and it goes away. All right, does that work for you?
Yeah. So you only changed, well, obviously you said you only changed the home page, but would it still work with the other template?
Well, no, it won't. I actually changed it to an entirely different template.
Okay.
So what that means is your other pages are going to look kind of weird right now. If we go check them out, they're just going to be these skinny little columns of content. So your homepage looks like that, and then I got to add your other pages to your menu. Let's see, appearance, menu. Is the primary menu. It's got all 3 of these. And why isn't that showing up? Primary menu has all 3 of those. And I don't see it. I don't see the primary menu up there. And I don't know why that is. Let's see, appearance, menus. Let's see, menu, edit your menu below or create a menu. Okay, let's create a new menu. We'll call this test. Okay, create menu. We'll make this the primary menu and we'll add these 2 pages to it and we'll save it and we'll go look. Oh, there they are. They're in like black text.
Oh.
Kind of hard to see, but see what it did? it took your content and just made it kind of funky like this, right? However, if you would like to change this, all you have to do is use the other template for the other pages, right? So let me show you how that works. All pages. Okay, so I got to open up my website real quick. Um, this is plugins, top plugins. Okay, yeah, so duplicate post. This is where we were before. We didn't have a lot of luck with trying to find that proper plugin. But this is the easiest way to do it. Duplicate page, duplicate post page and custom using single click. Okay. Over 1 million active installs, 3 million active. Yoast duplicate post. That's the one that we didn't have so much luck with. Updated 6 days ago. 3 million active installs. Well, we didn't have much luck with that, but I'm going to try it again. Okay, let me see if I have any luck here. So we go into pages, we go to all pages. Yeah, clone. Oh, good. It's working. Okay, great. So now, okay, you see this page which is called Home Front Page Elementor? That's your new home page. Okay?
Okay.
Now you have two other pages, a mission and an about page, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now watch. This is what you would do. You would take the home page and you would click clone. It'll make a new page called, well, it's called Home Draft Elementor, same as this other damn page. So that doesn't help us. Let's see, last modified 922, 915. So it's this one here. So then if we go look at this, we could rename this page. I'm just going to call this new mission. And then if we, let me publish this. If we edit this page, it should look like the home page. See, it does, right? And then I'm going to do the same thing one more time. I'm going to go to all pages and go over new mission and click clone. Now it's going to say new mission draft, and I'm going to edit this. I'm going to call it new about and save it. Okay, so the bottom line is this, and I apologize that this is a little confusing. I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible on you. Okay, so you got a page here called Home, and that's your real home page. You have a page called About, and you got one called New About, and then you have one called Mission, and then you have one called New Missions, right?
Are we allowed to like erase the other ones, or is there any? I mean, I see a delete. I think.
Yeah, you could erase the other ones. The only reason I left them existing was in case you wanted to pull any content off of them.
Oh, okay. Well, usually I just pull them from the media library.
Okay, great. Well, if you want, you can trash, About and Missions and the old homepage, and that would be a good idea because then they're not there to bother you. And then just go ahead and rename this Missions page, Mission, rename this About, and then just put your content on those.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry about you always having to go in and.
It's par for the course. Now, Stephanie, you have a presentation that you put together. Would you like to give that to us?
Yes, sure.
Okay, you want to share the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me do that.
There should be a share button at the bottom of Zoom.
Okay. Um, am I sharing now?
I can see it.
Okay. Do you see slideshow now?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to talk about search engine optimization. And when I selected my topic, I didn't even know what it was called. I just Googled, oh, I want to know how to make it easier for people to find my website. And then I found out that it was called search engine optimization. So I thought it might be a topic of interest to all of us because, you know, whether your website is for a church or selling clothes or something else, you always want people to find it. So what is search engine optimization? It means the practice of optimizing content so that it's discovered through a search engine search results. So in other words, you improve your site in order to increase its visibility for the person who searches for it. So the benefits of it is free passive traffic to your website. So if your site is optimized, you get more hits. So before we get into how to optimize websites for the search engine, we first need to understand how the search engine, like for example, Google or Bing, how they work. And search engines can be seen like libraries for the digital age, only that instead of storing copies of hard copy books, they store copies of web pages. And then search engines crawl and index web pages. And crawling means they follow links to eventually find all web pages and save them in their index. So then when you enter a query into a search engine, it looks through all the pages in the index and returns the most relevant results. And you know, how does the search engine decide what is relevant? That's what the algorithm does. So I found a nice analogy, which is if an algorithm is thought of as a secret recipe to return useful search results, search engine optimization means making sure that your web pages have the ingredients search engines need for the recipe. So, you know, as it turns out, most of the ingredients are well known. Google says they have over 200 factors altogether. But for example, the words that you have in your content matter, the words in your title matter, the links that you have on your website matter, and the words in the links, as well as the reputation of some websites that link to yours. So there are different ways of listing and grouping these different search engine optimization factors. And I found this periodic table of search engine optimization, which is just one such way of summarizing what factors matter. And it's something that's updated annually. As you can see, it kind of mimics that periodic table of chemical elements where all the elements are sorted into different groups. I mean, I assume that everybody has come across that in a chemistry class. So here, each element in a table represents a factor that you need to consider to be successful in search engine optimization. And those factors can be thought of as the ingredients to the algorithm, which again is the kind of the recipe that Google uses to rank the search results and give you what, you know, it thinks is relevant to your search query. And the factors are weighted between +1 and +3. That's in the top right corner of each of the elements based on their importance in the algorithm. So if a factor is highly important, it's weighted +3, and if it's less important, +1. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 6 element groups here, each one in different colors. The first one is content, and those are the factors that they're about the high quality and in-depth content of your website. Then the next one is architecture, and they all relate to how your site is built. And HTML are the factors that relate to the HTML tags that you're using. And I think we've talked a bit about that when we looked through the HTML tutorials. Then another group is trust, and that's about the reputation and links. And that's what, about other sites that your site is linked with. And finally, user, how the user interacts with your site. And they also have added, they said in this year's rendition for the first time, a group called toxins. And those are practices that are doing damage to the ranking of your website. So they achieve the opposite. And actually their ratings are negative from -1 to -3. And then finally, there's something they call emerging verticals. And those are factors that are believed to be growing in importance in the coming years. And since there are so many, I'm just going to give a few examples because we cannot go into all of them. So the first example is FR for freshness, and it's in the content group. And the short description there is create timely content, refresh or retire stagnant pages. It has a weight of +2, so it means it's relatively important. And it's said to be query dependent, meaning for some sort of queries, it's more important than for others. So can you guess for which ones, for example, that would be important? Well, if you don't have a guess, I'll give you the example. So yesterday I put in election news.
Okay, you want us to guess what's the next most important after content?
No, I said the this element freshness, it's query dependent. So it means for some queries it's more important than for others.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So for example, if you put something in with the keyword news, so for current events topics, freshness is highly important because the user obviously wants to get something that's up to date. So, and you see that, what came out first was from 20 minutes ago, or that, was from the same day when I Googled it. Whereas some other topics, they're more timeless, where it's not so important to update your webpage regularly in order to achieve, high rankings on Google, meaning coming up first when somebody searches. And for that, an example would be, like a recipe, because it doesn't matter if it was, updated yesterday or 10 years ago, it's still the same good recipe. So if your topic is for your topic, if freshness is important, you make sure that you refresh your content regularly. Like for example, if Bernadette had a page for upcoming events in her church and she hasn't updated it since 2017, and the latest event was 2017, and probably Google, wouldn't rank her highly. So if somebody Googled, oh, churches in Tucson, maybe hers wouldn't come up on top. So if you want to make sure people actually find your church, make sure that there's something what's going on October, November 2020. Then the next example I took from a different group is speed, and that's what's in the architecture group. And the short description is your site should load quickly on any device. It's pretty self-explanatory. And it's not about being like 1 millisecond faster than other pages, but it's mostly affects the very slow pages. So if your page is super slow, that's a factor that tracks you down. And if you have concerns about your page, there's something in Google, like a speed report you can run if you're concerned that your web page might be slow, and it will tell you. Then another example is intent, and that's in the group user, like user experience. The short description is consider why someone is conducting a specific search. The reason for this is Google has different modes for ranking web pages depending on user intent. For example, if you enter cheap laptops, Google goes into buying mode and it ranks online shopping pages highly. And by contrast, if you write how to use a laptop, Google sees how to, and then it goes into learning mode and it suggests a different set of pages. So if you make a website that sells a product, like Alex wanting to sell clothes, make sure that the keywords buy and shop and anything purchase related are in your website title and HTML tags so that Google defaults into the right ranking mode. And then finally, I wanted to include one example from the toxins group. And this one is for schemes. So the short description is buying links, spamming blocks, and all terrible tactics. So obviously that's a negative. So schemes is a questionable tactic which might have worked when search engine algorithms were less sophisticated. But nowadays Google can pick up on it and then it gives you, it pulls you down in your rank. And for example, it would be link farms. A link farm is a group of websites. They all link together, mutually for one, like each is linked reciprocally. And even though it's good to have links on your website, but links like that are a negative. So this is a summary. It's not really a summary of all that I said because I only gave a few examples. But to do well in search engine optimization, make sure you give searchers what they're looking for, like have the right keywords in the title and the text, and embed it in the HTML text. Make sure your site looks right on every device in order to provide a good user experience. Make sure visitors enjoy being on your site and minimize distractions. So if somebody clicks on your site, especially if people repeatedly click on your site and then go right back to the search result, that makes your website's ranking go down. Also explain everything visitors want to know and do so accurately, because this gives you backlinks to your page, which is also a factor in the search algorithm. If you have inaccurate information, usually not many people will link to your page from other pages. Build expertise in one topic, don't be a jack of all trades. Usually you'll get more authority if you focus on one topic you specialize on, rather than where the topic of the search is contained in your website, but alongside a lot of other things. So Google prioritizes sites that are specifically on one topic. Then get recommendations from other sites in the form of backlinks. That might be the most important ranking factor. And it's even better if those pages have a good reputation, which link to you. Regularly update and keep the content fresh. We talked about this. And then finally, do all of it fast and securely. You can install an SSL certificate so that the data are encrypted between the server and the browser. That's it.
Yay! Wow, that was nice. You did a lot of research on that, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, it was really interesting to look into it. And you could talk for 2 hours about it probably. So much stuff is in there.
Yeah, it's very cool. Thank you. I learned a few things during that presentation, so thank you. So, on the topic of search engines, let me share my screen here. I want to show you guys because we had this nice presentation about search engines. I want to show you guys some of the things that can help you with optimizing your websites. Bernadette, is it okay if I install a search engine plugin on your website?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'm going to go add new to plugins, and I'm going to add something called all-in-one SEO. Well, I guess it's officially called all-in-one SEO pack. And this is a search engine optimization package. Now, this second one here, Yoast SEO, is the one that most people use. You can see this has 5+ million active installations, which beats the 2 million by SEO Pack. But I like SEO Pack because it's easy to use. You might check out Yoast. You might have more success with that. But I'm just going to click Install Now, and then I'm going to click Activate. Now, let's take some of the things that Stephanie was just talking about and put them into work on one of your pages, right? So let's say that we go to one of your pages, and let's just let's just go to this new About page, for example. Okay, and let's edit this with Elementor. So it's called Valley Christian Church, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna do some fake stuff here if that's okay with you. So I made a new section. I'm gonna grab my text editor and drag it down over here. And now I've got a section of text up on this page, right? So let's say that I wanted to optimize this page for search engine optimization, right? So I would write Valley Christian Church, located in Tucson, Arizona. And I'm just going to make some stuff here, Bernadette. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
Is a popular, I'll say, is like one of the most popular Christian churches in the Southwest. Okay. Yeah, well, okay. Now there's a reason that I'm putting this specific text. Did you notice that I'm being redundant with things like Christian and church, right?
Mhm.
And did you notice I put Tucson, Arizona and the Southwest, right?
Mhm.
So that automatically means if somebody searches for a Christian church Southwest, then this page could potentially come up. Or if they do Christian church Tucson. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when you write text that appears on a web page, you specifically write it and you stuff it full of keywords like this without being too obvious. Okay? Like I can't just say Valley Christian Church, 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 church. That's a little too obvious. But I can make sort of reciprocal sentences and loopy sentences that they still read fairly normally, but they're loaded up with stuff like that, right? Now, in addition, I could put some heading tags on top of this, right? So I could put Valley Christian Church in Tucson, Arizona. Now, I can highlight this. I can go up to where it says paragraph, and I can click heading 1. Now, see how it makes that big heading up there? Now, once again, I'm hitting Valley Christian Church. Now Christian Church is on there 3 times, and Tucson, Arizona is on there twice, and Southwest. I could even say, I could even go into my text and say, it's one of the most popular Christian churches in the Valley of the Southwest. Okay, whatever. I'm just using the word Valley twice. Okay. Anyway, but notice I put an H1 tag in there. Now, H1 tags, Stephanie talked about rankings in her search engine optimization. And if you look at this drop-down menu here, you've got H1 all the way through H6. Well, the H1 tag is ranked highest in the Google search engine optimization, which means anything that you have in an H1 tag on a page is going to be considered very important for the page. And so Google's going to take that into account. It's going to say, this is what this page is about. All of the other headings are going to be less important, right? And this seems kind of strange, but it makes a certain amount of sense. Any text that's at the top of the page is going to be ranked higher than text that's at the bottom of the page, because they think, once again, it's that above the fold concept. Whatever's at the top is more important than what's at the bottom, right? Now, So you're gonna, use H1 tags judiciously on your page, and H2 and H3, and load them up with keywords. You're gonna load your text up with keywords. When it comes to pictures, you're gonna add something called alt tags on pictures, right? So if I go to, let's see, I click on this picture right here, and let me see where they've got my alt tags. Shoot, where are they? They're in the HTML. Choose image, image size alignment, caption link. Where are my alt tags for this image? Normal hover CSS filters, it's got to be under advanced. Motion effects, Z index, custom CSS, attributes. Maybe it's under attributes. Oh, that's all pro stuff. Oh, boo. That sucks. They can't make that. They can't do that. These people. Caption, attachment custom caption. Wow, this kind of sucks. All right, let me try putting in my own picture and see if I get any luck. So I'll go up here, I'll add another thing. I will go drag a picture in. Okay, image. And then yeah, it's still not, let's see. If I go in here and I grab a picture. Oh, here we go. It's over here in WordPress. When you put the picture in, it gives you this box over here called alt text. And in the alt text is where you can load it up with more keywords. So I would say, Minister Smith of Valley Christian Church in Tucson, Arizona, surveying the south western beauty of the Tucson Valley, or something like that. Okay, so I loaded my alt text up with keywords. I can also put a description in here, which is more keywords. I can say, image of, Minister or Reverend Smith, looking out from Valley Christian Church, so on and so forth. Okay. And then when I'm all done, I just simply hit insert media. And now that picture is on my page, but behind the scenes in the HTML code, there is embedded these alt tags, which are more keywords. Okay, does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one last thing. A couple other things you can do about keywords on a page here. Okay, let me publish this page.
Question,
But
will this, because this is going out in the public, or is this not? This website, is it going out in the public?
what I'll do, how about this? I'll just delete everything. How does that sound?
Okay, no, because I just don't want people to like search for it and then it comes up with this site. You're like, what is this about? I mean, you can keep it on there, but
No, it's okay. I got rid of it. It's fine. So I'll update the page. Now let me just show you two other things, and I'll get rid of them as I do them. So the other place where you can put keywords is in the title, right? So here's a trick for you. So we could call this about Valley Christian Church in Tucson, Arizona. Now, that's a huge name, right? You wouldn't really want that in your menu, right? But now that's what the page is actually called. Now watch this. If we go down to menu, we have this crazy page here with this huge name, right? Now watch what you can do. Click this little thing here and say that on the menu you want it to be called about, right? And then hit save menu. Now it's called about, but in reality all of those words are stuffed into the code. Do you know what I mean? So like when we go look at the web page, there's going to be two about pages. You can't really see them here because they're in black, but it says about. You can see them when I roll over them. But it says about, but let me see if I can figure out which one this is. I got to pull my thing down a little bit here. Okay, that one's the regular about page. Oh yeah. So can you see my mouse up here in the right corner? You see how when I hover over the page, it says About Valley Christian Church in Tucson, Arizona?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, all that code is in there, but on the menu, all that's showing up is the word about. Okay. So these are, I'm calling them tricks, but they're actually valid uses of optimizing your site with search engines, right? Now I'm going to go back to this page and I'm going to get rid of this name. We'll say about new or something, right?
You know, what I read was that if you overdo it with that, it's actually a negative.
Yeah.
If that's what they meant by the term cloaking, where they said you show the search engine something else than what you show the human who reads your site.
Yeah, you got to be
And
you got to be careful. I mean, you have to use common sense. Like, you know, you're not
yeah,
20 words in the title, but you can put more than just about. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Now, here's the last thing I'll show you on this topic. Because we added that all-in-one SEO pack, now when you look at your pages, it has something called SEO title and SEO description. So once again, if I go to this about page, I can click on this little pencil, and this title right here is just going to be used just for SEO. So in this one here, I could write 20 words about, you know, about the about page, you know, so we'll say 20 words about page, right?
Mhm.
And then hit the little check mark, and then those are all going to be SEO words. And then the SEO description, and we'll just say, you know, 20 words about description here, and then hit this little check mark, right? And so, you know, when you do that, you're going to be putting more keywords into your page, and you're basically optimizing your page from every angle. You're doing the page title, you're doing the H1 tags, you're doing the alt tags for pictures, you're optimizing the text on there, you're putting information that's more important at the top as opposed to the bottom, and you're putting information that's more important in H1 and H2 and H3 tags as opposed to H4, H5, and H6. Now, when you do all this stuff, it makes a difference. It makes it so your page starts showing up on search engine results, right? Now, one other thing that you can do, let's see. Okay, Google has something called Google Webmaster Tools. And what happens is these are free to use. And what you can do is you can put your information in here about, you know, your website, and you can tell it what kind of business it is. You know, of course, a church is a you know, religious institution, but you can put in what kind of entity, what kind of organization it is, and Google will come back with all these tools you can use to create your keywords for that site, right? Like, for example, sometimes it's counterintuitive. Like, you and I might think, oh, somebody who's looking for a church in Arizona might type in, you know, Christian churches, Tucson or something, but it might turn out that they're typing desert churches, right? And we wouldn't know that because we're not looking at the search results. Well, what happens is if you use the Google Webmaster Tools, they show you the things people actually type into the search engines. And then you can use those words to put into your website to improve the optimization. Okay? Let me, I'm going to close my blinds here a little bit so it doesn't look like the sun is burning a hole in my face. Hold on just one second. Oh, it's still bad. Hold on. Okay, better, right? You see me, not the burn mark. There's still a little a ray of sunshine on me, of course. Okay, so those were just some tips I wanted to pass on to you guys about this. Okay, now, how you guys doing? Would you like a little break? You want a little bathroom / drink break or something?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Why don't we come back at 4:40? So take like 10, 14-minute break, and we'll rejoin at 4:40 and talk about some web design stuff. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So I want to come back here and talk to you guys. So, Steph, did you do any work on your website?
No, not very much. Only like right after we finished last time.
Okay. And how about you, Alex? Have you done any new work on your site?
We could look at the Shopify site that I have
Okay, can you
that I
put
worked on.
that in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. Okay, so here we are. So this is through the Shopify portal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's your picture and then some placeholder images and a
Yeah.
letter, and then this is how the Shopify catalog comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this one's sold out, so I can't buy that one. It was my favorite, but it got sold out. Uh, okay, add to cart or buy with Google Pay, and then view the cart, and then check out.
Watch out, it's $100.
I
Yeah.
have the Shopify plan on a paused build right now, so customers can still view the site, but they can't check it out because you have to pay monthly to use Shopify basically. So I have it on like the pause plan, which is the cheapest, and it's just to work on the site uh, for now.
What's the cost of Shopify, if you don't mind my asking?
So you can sign up for a development account, which basically allows you to work on sites without having to choose a plan, which is what I did when I worked on somebody else's site before I transferred it to them. And the transferring is super simple actually. Um, and then the normal price, like if you're doing just like a small store, I was paying 20 or 30 a month, which I mean wasn't too bad. Um,
That's probably like for 500 products or less or something, right?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And you can have staff accounts on it too. But the cheapest plan it lets you have two staff accounts, and there's like a slightly higher fee than the more expensive plan that Shopify takes out. But we had launched it before when we had items like that we're gonna sell that we could like pay the Shopify plan price. And so yeah, so right now we have it on the pause build just because we're not selling anything at the moment.
Now, you guys designed this clothing, and then where do you have it manufactured?
So most of the stuff that we have right now isn't stuff that needs to be manufactured. So like if we order blanks, we'll order hats or shirts or whatever, and then we'll get the screens burned and then print them ourselves. And or
Oh,
if we need embroidery done, then we'll have it done somewhere locally.
okay. So you guys, you have your own screen printing setup,
Yeah.
and how many colors is it?
It's a four color print, but we've only done like max of two colors or three colors
Yeah, yeah,
because it
um,
gets pretty tedious.
yeah. I know I have my own screen printing setup too. Yeah, and you always want to stick to one or two colors because it's just so much easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, cool. This looks good. I'll definitely check out Shopify and see what's going on over there. So what more do you think is going to happen to this site?
Um, I'm not too sure to be honest because we're working on a lot of stuff right now that we want to put on the site, but we won't be done with most of it till like the beginning or mid of October. So I was thinking that this honestly, I mean, I'm pretty happy with this at the moment. So maybe I could just work on something else through WordPress, like a different type of site.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so that's fine. Now, just out of curiosity, is it you and a partner that are working on this?
Yeah, but I do most of like the technical stuff, like the website building and the graphics. So
Okay. Uh, so you're the person who creates the graphics for the shirts and stuff?
yeah, well, we usually spit ideas at each other first, and then usually it's me who will finalize it digitally. Um, and yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, cool. Um, well, yeah, it looks good. So, yeah, if you want to, you can do whatever you want with the WordPress. You can create a generic site or a portfolio site or whatever you want to do. You don't have to work on this if you don't want to.
Okay.
Okay. So what I did want to do was I wanted to, do all you guys have Dreamweaver or some kind of HTML program available to you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
No, you don't have it, Steph? Okay.
No.
All right. Let's see. Well, and I have to ask Bernadette when she comes back, but I'm going to launch Dreamweaver here. And hi, Bernadette. Do you have Dreamweaver?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Can you launch that program?
Just haven't used it.
Okay. So, Steph, do you know about the fact that you can download programs from the Adobe website to use this semester because you're taking a PIMA class?
Okay. Is that the thing that in the beginning something didn't work and then I didn't find it?
Yeah, it wasn't working at the beginning, but now it is apparently. Um,
Okay.
do you want me to go over how to do that?
I'll look after it. I'll look into it after class.
Okay, all right. Anyway, it would probably be good if you get a hold of Dreamweaver from the Adobe site just so we can do some demos and stuff.
Okay.
But for today, you can just watch if that's okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is it okay if I just watch too? Because sometimes I get kind of mixed up with trying to do it and then watch.
Yeah, be my guest. Be my guest. I just kind of want to demo some stuff to you guys. So here's Dreamweaver, and uh, I'm just going to create a brand new HTML document, right? Notice Dreamweaver creates all kinds of documents, but we're just going to create a brand new HTML one. And what I want to talk about is I want to talk about, some basic HTML that you need to create a website, and also create like sort of the most fundamental basic website you can and talk about how it's put together. So in Dreamweaver, let me make this bigger so it's easier to see. Um, your web page is split up into what's called the front end and the back end. The front end is what people see, and the back end is where you do your code, right? Now, this little bit of code that you see here is the minimum amount of code you need to display a web page. It's not very much, it's 10 lines of code, right? Now, of course, this is HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and that's the structural language that web pages are created in. If you notice here at the top of the page, there's this thing, the doc type declaration, and we've talked about, this in reference to the W3 Schools tutorials. So this just tells you that this tells the computer that the document is in HTML, and this tag here, anything in angle brackets is a tag, says that this is where the HTML begins. Now, what's nice about Dreamweaver is if you click what's called the beginning tag in Dreamweaver, it automatically highlights the ending tag or the closing tag. So a closing tag is always the same word with a forward slash in front of it. So this is where the HTML for the page begins, and this is where it ends. Forward slash HTML means end. So essentially, that's the whole page, right? Now, your page itself is divided up into two sections. I like to think of it like a term paper. If you write a term paper, then there's like a header section at the top where you put your name and the title of the paper and stuff. And then there's the bodies section, which is where the content of the paper is. Well, that's what we have here. We have right after the head, we have, and the HTML, we have a head section. And you can see there's a begin head and an end head. And then after that, we have the body section. So it's just like a term paper, right? Now, the stuff that's inside of the head section never gets seen by people who are looking at the website. This is what you might call meta tags, right? These are things like, here's a tag, a meta tag called character set, UTF-8, which just means that this web page is going to be in English, Latin-based English. Then we've got a page title, which appears at the top of the page. That's one of the few things that actually shows up on the page, right? But you can put other things in here, like you could put keywords in here and other things. None of this stuff will show up on the front of the page, just for the computers to read so they know more about your website. The only thing, like I said, if I put a title in here, if I call this Greg's Cool Page, that's going to show up in the tab when we look at it in a browser. Now, okay, so we've got the doc type declaration, tells the computer what kind of document it is. HTML, which begins and ends the document. A head, which is where the meta tags and information behind the scenes go for computers. And the body, which is where all the content for the website goes. So if you want to put content on your web page, it goes between the body tags. So it goes between the begin body and the end body. And you can see that my text is showing up over here. It's kind of small. I can make that bigger. Under Dreamweaver, you can go under Preferences, and you can go to Fonts, and let's see. I want, what about code? Code format. No, that fonts was where I wanted to be. Okay, I'm going to change everything to largest and see if it shows up any bigger. Apply. Okay, nothing showed up bigger. Well, I guess it's a little bigger. Yeah, it is a little bigger. Okay, so if you want to put content on your web page, it goes between the body tags. Okay, so that's where all the content for your web page goes. Now, if I were to look at this page in a browser, it would be pretty boring, and it would also be pretty formless, right? Let's see, File, real-time preview in Firefox. Okay, there it is. There's my all my content on my web page. The default for web page content is it goes to the left side of your page, and that's what it does, right? Now, to give your page more structure, we use these things called div tags, right? So if I go in here and I put in a tag, which of course is surrounded by these angle brackets, and I write the word div, which is short for division, it'll put in a beginning div tag and an ending div tag. And I can grab the ending div tag and drag it down to the end of my content, okay? So now my content is inside of this invisible division, right? It's almost like a box that my content is inside of. Now, the division is like a flexible box that I can attach certain styles to. So I can go into my div tag here, and I can give it a name. I can say ID equals, let me see, what do I say? I'll call this container. Okay. Now I've given my div a name, container. The reason that I gave it a name was so that I can apply styles to it. And those styles can go on a separate style sheet, which is where they normally go, but for the sake of expediency, I can put them right here into the page itself, right? What I can do is I can put a little tag up here that's called style, right? And then I've got an end style tag. And then I can say the name of my my div. I gave it an ID name, and you indicate an ID by a pound sign. So I'm going to put pound sign and then container. And what that does is it tells the computer that I now want to apply a style to that container div, right? Now I put in some curly braces and tell it what kind of styles I want. So for a width of my container, I want it to be 100%. So 100% wide, 100% the width of the web page, right? I also want it to have a background color. What color are you guys in the mood for today?
Blue.
Okay. Now notice, the second that I wrote blue, this little box, which is surrounding the content, turned blue, right? So that's my div. Now, The other thing I want to do about this div, let me see, 100, 400, and 100, that's 600. Okay. I want to give it a height too, just for the sake of argument. Height, I'll say 600 pixels. Okay. Now notice that I now have a web page that has a big blue box on it, and it's 600 pixels high, and it goes the entire width of the web page. And once again, if I preview this, you see that it goes the entire width of the web page, and it's 600 pixels tall, right? Now, this is a style that a lot of web pages use. They go completely across the web page, but you don't have to make it go completely across the web page. You can make it just be part of the web page. So in other words, instead of my width being 100%, what if I made my width, let's say 1200 pixels? Okay, so now it's not going to go all the way across. But let's say that I wanted it to be 1000 pixels, but I wanted it to center on the web page. So what I would do is I would add in a margin tag, and then let's preview this again, and I'll tell you what that margin tag is doing. Okay, so I went from 100% wide to 1000 pixels wide. And now, no matter what size I make my browser, my web page is always 1000 or 1200 pixels wide, right? Now, but notice that it's also always in the center of my browser. In other words, it's automatically putting the same amount of margin, which means space, on the right and the left of this page, right? And the way that I configure that was through this style right here, margin 0 auto. Now the auto makes it automatically put space on the right and the left, and the 0 means don't put any space on the top and the bottom, right? Okay, now all this stuff that I'm doing in here, this is all called CSS, or cascading style sheets. So web pages generally have at least 3 things going on. They've got the HTML, which is all these tags we looked at. They've got the CSS, which is the style, which is like the interior decorators coming in and decorating everything. And then they often use JavaScript, and JavaScript is like, you know, the electricians that come in and put the floating television that comes down out of the roof, or, you know, you press a button and dinner comes out of the microwave and lands on your plate or something like that. The JavaScript people do the pop-ups and all the cool web technology stuff, and we'll look at some of that JavaScript code, right? Now, I'm going to change my height here a bit. I want to change my height to 1000 pixels, or maybe 1200, let's see. Okay, I just want to get a page that's much taller. And now I'm going to change my background color to something really light color so we can see the content. Now you can go into Photoshop and you can open up your color picker here, and you can sample a color, whatever color you want. I want a light gray. You can sample a color, and then it will come up with this number down here, which is called a hexadecimal number. And hexadecimal meaning 6, right? What you can do is you can highlight that number, and then you can copy it. And you can actually put that number right into your web page, and it will replicate that color in your web page. So this is, I'm going to copy this 9A9899. I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver, and for the background color, instead of blue, I'm going to put $, and then 98999, or 989898. Try saying that first 3 times fast, right? Okay, now at least we can see what the page looks like because it's very light. We can preview this again. Okay, so now you're seeing, you know, there's my actual page content in the middle of that page, right? Now, once you've got your div like this, which is creating the boundaries of the web page, you have to further break the web page up into smaller divs, smaller divisions, almost like if you were making a table in something like Microsoft Word. First you make the outside of the table, then you make the rows and the columns, right? So let's go in here and let's add some additional divs. So we've got this one div here, which is creating the web page itself, the container, which contains the whole web page. But we have to put some other divs inside of it. In other words, what I really want to do, let me go to Photoshop here and show you what I want to do. Um, I want to draw this guy. No, I'm just kidding. Let me see if I can put a new layer on top of this. New layer, select all, and fill it with white. Ah, God, I can't do anything when my scratch discs are full. Okay, let me see if I have, let's see. I'm just trying to find a page that I can draw on. It doesn't have too much stuff on. Hopefully it'll let me, oh wait, this screenshot may let me draw on it. Let's see. Come on, Photoshop, stop being a jerk. Okay, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. Let's see. Okay, down here in the corner, it's not gonna let me use that either. Okay, this is unfortunate, but I'll just go back to Dreamweaver here. I'll just explain it to you. So what I want to do is I want to put a header up here at the top. I want to put a footer down here at the bottom. I want to put a main content area, and I want to put a sidebar, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first create all those divs, and then I'm going to add style to them, right? Now, this outside div, this div which is the container around the whole page, everything else is going to go inside that because it's like building blocks that are nested inside of a fence, right? So, okay, so we have the div container here. I'm going to make a new div here, right? And I'm going to call this one, pound sign, let's see, ID equals quote header. Okay, and then it makes my separate div there. I'm going to get rid of this content here because it's not really going to help me. So I make a header, which is going to be the top part of the web page. And notice it's inside of this other div, right? And I'll even take this and I'll use my tab keys and I'll tab it in so that it is a little indented so that I can see that that is inside of this, right? Okay, so there's my header. It's up at the top, right? Underneath that, I'm going to put an ID called main, and that's going to be my main content section. After that, I'm going to put an ID, and I'm just copying and pasting it, called sidebar. And after that, I'm going to put a div which is called footer. Now you can see by the way this is tabbed, this is something called well-formed code. And what this is you intentionally take the things which are the outside divs and you put them all the way to the left side of the page so people can see that that's the surrounding div that surrounds everything. Then every div that is inside of that gets indented on the page so you can see that these surround these. It's a container holding all of these, right? Okay, now what I have to do is I have to add some styles up here in my style sheet to differentiate each of these so they're easy for us to see. So we've got our style tags here, and we can add new styles there. So all I have to do is put a pound sign in. That means ID, and now I'm going to look for the ID called header. So I'm going to put in ID header. I'm going to put in my curly brace, which means I'm going to put some styles in there. And first thing I'll do is I'll say background, and I'll just put in a color here. I'll just say yellow. Next, I'll say a height 100 pixels. Okay, and you see how that yellow 100 pixels is showing up there. Now, 100 pixels is not very much. Let's try 300 pixels. Okay, that looks a little bit more like a header. Maybe 200. Let's see. Okay, that's a little bit more of a header, right? Now, so I automatically have defined my header section by giving it a background color and by giving it a height. Now, my footer is going to be similar. I'm going to put a footer down here. It's going to be about the same size, right? So I can actually copy all this code. You can reuse code. And I can paste it down underneath here. And all I have to do is change the name of this to footer. And it's going to create a new section called footer right underneath that, right? Now, the reason that the footer is right up against the header is because we haven't made a section for main and sidebar yet. So let's do that. Let's paste that in. So we'll go ahead and we'll paste it in again. This time we'll call it main. And we'll give it a different background. We'll call this one blue. But this one, let's give this a height. Let's see, 200, 200 is 400. Let's give this a height of, oh, I made it 1200. So of 800, I think. Oh, 8,000. Okay, 800. There we go. All right, now I made my page. You can see that the height of my page is 1200 pixels, which means if I put 200 pixels up here and 200 down there, that's 400. 1200 minus 400 is 800. That means the blue section is going to be 800, right? Now let's take a look at how this page is shaping up in the browser. Okay, there it is, and that's how you would expect to see it, right? We've got a container which surrounds the whole page. We've got a header which is 200 pixels high and goes the whole width of the container. We've got a main content area which is 800 pixels high and the whole width of the container, and then a footer which is 200 pixels high, right? Now, I further want to separate this out so that, you know, this main area, I only want this main area to take up the left side of this middle section here, but then I want a sidebar to take up the right side. So what I'm going to do, we know that our container is 1200 pixels wide. So let's say I'm going to take 800 pixels of that, and I'm going to make the width of the main section 800 pixels wide. So I'll say the width of this is 800 pixels. Okay? Notice that it slides over here, it gets smaller. Now we have a section in here that we can use for our sidebar, right? So I'm going to put a section in here, I'm going to call it sidebar. I'm going to give it, let's see, its height is going to be 800 pixels because that's how big this middle section is. Its width is going to be 200, 400 pixels. Well, let me see, 800, 400 pixels, right? Its width is going to be 400 pixels, and its color is going to be green. Okay, and what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to tell this this blue bar that it has to stick on the left, and then the green bar has to stick on the right. Okay, so this one here, I'm going to put in a command, what's called a sort of a precise position command. I'm going to put in a command called float, and I'm going to say I want this to float left. I'm going to say my sidebar, I want it to float right. And then for my footer, I'm going to say that I don't want any floats, so I'm going to say clear both. And it's going to get rid of the floats, right? So floats are, you know, like I said, they're position statements. They tell things where you want them to be on the left side or the right side of the page. Okay, so now we have a web page that looks like this. It's got the border all the way around it, the container around the page. It's got the header, the main content section, the sidebar, and the footer, right? Now, now that we've made all these sections down here and styled them, and they're easy to see, now you can go in and put content in each one, right? So if I wanted a bunch of text content in my main area, I'd go down here where it says main div, and I put my content between the beginning main div and the end main div, right? And you know, one place that I like to go for sort of fake content is the Lorem Ipsum website. So if we type in lipsum.com, it'll take us to the Lorem Ipsum website, and we can grab some fake content. So generate Lorem Ipsum, and then grab a couple of paragraphs, copy them, go back here to Dreamweaver, and paste that stuff in here. And now you can see that there's some text appearing in there. Now, let me paste it in a couple times so that we have a ton of text. Okay. Well, that's too much. Okay. All right, that's good. All right, so you can see we have a bunch of text in this section here, right? Now, that's great. We've got some content in the section, but there's some really funky things happening with it design-wise. Like, for one thing, it sticks to the left wall and it sticks to the top, right? And that kind of sucks. So what we could do, and I know this sounds weird, But we could put a div inside of this div to hold the content and have it be away from the walls of this section, right? So if I wanted to do that, I would make yet another div. So I'll go in here. I've got this div called main, right? And I can make a new div. I can say its ID is going to be called, we'll just call it inner for lack of a better word, right? Or inter, let's see, inner. And then what I'll do is I'll go down to where my content ends, which is right before the main div, and I'll put my forward div slash. Now, this div is inside of the other div, so I'm going to tab it over. Hit my tab key and tab that over. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to take this and tab it over too, so that it is clear that this div is inside this div, which is then inside of this div. Okay. Now, something happened with my, somehow I broke my design. Let's see. Oh, there's two div tags. It made one here for me that I didn't want. So I got rid of it just there and everything went back to normal. Now, this is one of the things about HTML. Unfortunately, it's really unforgiving. You make a single mistake and everything jacks up, and the only thing you can do is try and find the mistake. Okay, so now we have a div and its name is inner, right? And so I can come up here, I can put it after the main div if I want. I can say # inner, and then put in some curly braces. And let's see, let's give this a background of white, so it's easy for us to see. And let's see, let's give it a width and a height. So let's see, this section is 800 long, so let's give it a width of 600 pixels. And let's give it a height of, I don't know, 600 pixels again. Okay, now, there it is. It's showing up, right? Now, you can see that the white, because I made it so small, it's not capturing all the content. I better make it a little bigger, so let's try the width of 700 pixels. Let's try the height of 700 or maybe even 800 pixels. Let's see. I thought the whole section, no, 800 is too big. Let's try 700 pixels on the height too. Okay, now we don't quite get all the content in there. I'm going to delete some of this content just so my demo will work here. Okay, there we go. There's some text. Now, so we've got a div inside of a div inside of a div, right? Nested divs. Now, there's some things we want to do with this div to pull it away from the side and the top, right? You can use something called margin or padding to move elements. You can use margin to move elements away from other elements. So for this inner one, I can say margin and then go -left, and I can say something like 3 EMs, which is a unit of measurement. And there it is, right? Now, I can also do something like, say margin top. Let me try that 3 EMs again because that worked. EMs, once again, unit of measurement, right? Okay, now what I just did was I made it so that this box is pulled away from the edges of that, right? But unfortunately, the text is still kind of floating up against the edges of this box. So that means I have to put in another thing which is called padding, which will remove some of the edges of this. So let's say padding 5 pixels, that's not very much. Let's put, how about 2 EM maybe? Okay, how about 1 EM? It's a little bit of a guessing game there. Okay, now, I know I'm throwing a ton of code at you and like this stuff's going by really fast. You're like, what the hell is going on, right? I'm just trying to get you used to the idea that code creates pages, right? I'm not asking you to memorize all these pieces of code or how everything fits together. I'm just trying to show you that all of this code exists behind the scenes. Now, you guys are lucky that you're using something like WordPress, because when I was a youngster, if I was ever a youngster, right, at any point, but in the mid-90s, when I started designing web pages, we were hand coding all this stuff, right? Just like you see here. Imagine if your job was to do this all day. I think you would become a chef. I think you would do something other than this, right? But anyway, this is what we did. We hand coded all this stuff and made web pages. Now, you guys are no longer required to, know all the hand coding to do web pages, but the more you know about the code behind the scenes, the better you'll be when it comes to using programs like WordPress. Because even though WordPress is like a beautiful limousine that pulls up to your front door and asks you to just get in while it drives you around, you still have to know, you still have to be able to make little changes to things. Like, I want that background to be a light gray, or I'd really like to get rid of my sidebar, or I really want to put in a picture for a header and have it go from the very top of my page to a third of the way down. Now, WordPress, as great as it is, all of those themes have their limitations, right? Like Bernadette, the theme that you found, you like that theme, but right away we opened it up and there was just some junk code in there that was jacking up every single page. And in a case like that, it's like abandoned ship. There are 40,000 other themes. Let's go find one that works, right? I happen to know one that worked. It was kind of similar, and so I passed it on to you and problem solved, right? But if we had to stick with that theme, it was a client's website, then we'd have to go in under the hood and become little mechanics and work on the code and figure out the problems. And that's why you have to know a little bit of code. Okay, let's take a look at this in Firefox. Okay, and there you have it. Now, this page is not going to win any design awards. In fact, if you show this to anybody and say, "Oh, Greg taught us how to make this," they'll be like, "You should ask for your money back," right? But the whole point of it is just to show you, how the code creates the design. Okay. Any questions about this so far?
So instead of putting the padding inside the white box, I thought what you were getting at with the white box is you were going to make it blue, and like that you created the padding of the text in the blue box.
So
by inserting another box.
So the reason that I created the padding in the white box instead of the blue is because if you create padding in the blue box, it actually changes the size of the blue box. It actually whatever number you put into padding of the blue box, it would increase the size of the blue box and it would break the design, right? Let me see if I can demo that for you. So if we go to
but what you could have done is if you just wanted the text in the blue box not touch the edges.
Well, you could have
just turned the white box blue without adding any padding, because the padding is then like implicit.
Well, the padding is
there's a box in a box of the same color.
Yes, you're exactly right. You're absolutely right. That's something I could have done. And there's a dozen different ways to skin a cat, and you can use your knowledge of code to do things the way that you like to do them. Now, let's look at if I added padding to this blue box. You see how it breaks the design?
Oh, yeah.
Because what happens, unfortunately, the padding doesn't go inside. The whole box stretches to make more room for the padding, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I did it that way, right? Okay. Get rid of that. Okay. Now, the reason that one of the main reasons I did this demo, other than to show you some basics of HTML and CSS, is to also demonstrate to you that this is exactly the way that WordPress is set up, believe it or not, right? If we go look at the class website, this up here is a header. This is a sidebar. This is a main content area, and at the bottom of my page is a footer, right? So all of that stuff is designed exactly the same way. Let's see, somehow my share screen got turned off. Sorry about that. Okay, you're back now, sorry. On my web page here, let me go back up to the top. Okay, this is a header up here that has the menu and the name of the site. This is a sidebar. It has some more menu items. This is my main content area. And then when you go all the way down to the bottom of the page, this is my footer. So this page is set up identically to this page, while the sidebar is over on the left-hand side. It's just that WordPress did all the work for you. And now when it's easy for you. If you want to put content in, you just open up a WordPress page and you start typing in the designated area, and WordPress knows to put it in this box over here. But it's important that you know how it's working so that when you go to make a change to it, you're thinking, okay, let me look at my page here. Okay, this is my page, and I really want this page to go the entire width of the browser. But the problem is that when I get up to the top of my page, there's this thing over here. What is that thing? Oh yeah, it's called a sidebar, right? So then I go looking into WordPress and I see if there's a way that I can change the designation of this page to be full width with no sidebar. And nowadays, many templates come with that, or WordPress templates come with that page design template that you can just click on and it'll take out the sidebars. And now you've made the change that you need to, but you need to know how the structure of web pages works, and so that you can make those changes. Okay, does that make sense? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So now I know whenever I start talking about code here, there's like a time limit before people's brains start melting out their ears and stuff. So I'm not going to talk about any more code today, but what I do want to do is give you guys some instructions about what you can do this week. So continue to work on your websites. You guys have cool designs that are happening, so please work on those. And then what I would like you to do, and I want to clarify this because Stephanie, you asked me about this. So, I said talk about the next 5 pages of the HTML tutorial, the next 5 of the CSS tutorial, and then I said do the next 5 pages on both of those, right? Well, Stephanie asked for some more clarification, which I'm happy to give. So what I'll do is in this section down here, I'm going to give you exact links to the pages I want you to go to, right? So like, for example, if you click here, this is the second set of HTML this is the second set of 5 pages I want you to do, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll give you a link down here. I'll put it in later, probably first thing tomorrow. And I'll give you a link exactly where I want you to go, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I want you to look at. So like, for example, in this, if I were redoing it for here, I would say, please read from HTML attributes to, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, let's see, 3, 4, and then go down to the bottom of this page and say to HTML sub element, right? Look at those, do the examples, and then we'll talk about that the following week, right? So then you'll have some very specific information what to look at. What I really am trying to get you guys to do is read a little bit about HTML and CSS every week. Try some examples and get yourself used to working in this environment so that this stuff becomes, familiar to you, so it's easier for you to use it. Okay? All right. Any questions from you guys about any of that? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Alex.
So is the WordPress site gonna be something that's gonna be the entire semester that we're working on it, or are we gonna start moving more into HTML, CSS stuff?
Well, so normally what we do is we usually have time to make about two websites per semester. And then what we're going to do is I'm trying to teach this class so that there's 2 tracks happening at the same time. In a perfect world, half the class would be us looking at HTML and CSS, and the other half would be us developing in WordPress. So that not only do you learn how to make WordPress websites, but as I say, you learn how to get under the hood and do things like write CSS code and fix HTML problems and stuff like that. Okay?
Mm.
What's your interest in, Alex? Is it more in the code or in the WordPress?
I would say the code.
Okay. All right. Well, I have to, because it's a beginning class, I kind of have to do 50-50.
Uh-huh.
But however, because there's just, the 3 of you and me in the class, we can customize this class to your needs. So, if you guys said to me, hey, we want, 60% code and 40% WordPress, or, whatever percentage you want, I can accommodate that. Okay. Um, I can imagine some of you don't like code as much as WordPress and so on and so forth. But I could be wrong. Like Stephanie, what's your interest in this? Do you want to learn about equal
Yeah,
amount?
I was interested in the code because originally I was signed up for the coding class in the computing department, but it got canceled because not enough people.
Okay, so there's two of you that are very interested in code, and then Bernadette, I would assume with you it's the opposite. You're more focused on the graphic end of things. Am I wrong?
I kind of would like to learn more about code, so like when I go out into the, business world or anywhere, I could be more marketable. Because
Okay,
I honestly thought that we were gonna learn bottom up, but then I was like, oh, we're doing templates. So, yeah, so I could know more about the other stuff.
well, that's perfect. So all three of you are interested in code, so we can gear the class more to code. And we'll still be working in WordPress because, of course, you're going to want to learn that because it's a great system for making websites. But we'll spend more time on like HTML and CSS and teach you guys how to use all that stuff so you have all that power in your fingertips. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
One question.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You can go first.
Oh, okay. So I noticed on the little ad right here for Squarespace, like say if I go to a client in the future and they prefer me or they like this Squarespace theme or Wix or whatever, does it all work the same with code? Like, because I've never actually worked in any of the other site builders before, so would that work? I don't know how to word the question.
Okay, I think I understand the question. HTML and CSS are universal.
Mhm.
So whatever you would do in WordPress to change something is the same thing you would do in Squarespace or Wix. Okay. Now the difference between WordPress and those other sites is on those other sites they usually lock certain sections of it down so you can't get to them, right? They're doing it to make it easy for you. They're like, here, just press this button and your web page will be published. But they won't let you go behind the scenes and mess with certain pieces of code because they don't want you to screw everything up. They want it to be easy, a simple system. It's kind of like I don't know. It's like the way Apple won't let you repair your own iPhone, right? They just want it to work, and they think if you get in there, you're going to screw things up, right? Now, if you're using WordPress, it's carte blanche. You can do anything you want, including screw your site up, and you only have yourself to blame for it. So the systems are very similar, WordPress and those, Wix, Squarespace type of spaces, but the difference is in the amount of control you have. Okay, and Steph, you had a question?
Oh yeah. So just because I'm trying to keep things simple, I realized that in the try it editor for the HTML, I can do the same thing that you did in
Okay,
Dreamweaver.
perfect. You don't have to get, you
Keep
don't,
using that.
yeah, you don't have to get Dreamweaver if you don't want. You can do HTML in a variety of programs, including a text editor. So if you would prefer to just work in that, you're welcome to. I would suggest that you look into getting Dreamweaver only because it does some things really well. Like this color coding that helps you figure out where you are, and the fact that if you create a beginning code tag, it always makes the end tag. Now
Yeah.
you can find other, you could probably find free Windows HTML editors that will do all this stuff that I'm asking you to do. Uh,
Mhm.
and if you wanted to go that route, you're more than welcome to. I like Dreamweaver because it does all that stuff, but you can work with whatever software works best for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions or topics they want to bring up? Okay. So like I said, I'll probably tomorrow morning I'll put in some exact instructions for what I want you guys to study for the next week. Work on your WordPress websites, and like I said, we'll focus more on code in this class because you guys all want to learn that stuff. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, you guys have a good week, and I will see you next Tuesday.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Thanks.